This is 18 Global News. First, the headlines. Wike Commission's campaign radio targets Tinubu victory. Kano launches smart transport system to boost security. Tinubu commiserates with Kwara over killings. Discourse blame widespread power outages on gas shortage. Clintons seek public testimony and sting investigation. Manchester United beats Tottenham Hotspur 2-0. Omotola reflects on Nollywood blacklisting by marketers. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has declared that supporters of President Bola Tinubu in Rivers State do not require the backing of a sitting governor to mobilize for the president's re-election bid in 2027. Wike made the declaration on Saturday in Port Harcourt during the commissioning of the Rivers State Renewed Hope Ambassadors Headquarters, which houses Majority FM 89.5, a situation room, offices and operational vehicles. According to the former Rivers State governor, political mobilization in the state has been driven by elected officials and party leaders across party lines. He said Rivers supporters include senators, members of the National and State Assemblies, local government chairmen and party executives of both the APC and PDP, stressing that they have independently committed resources to support President Tinubu. Wike described Rivers State as firmly aligned with the president, insisting that support for Tinubu is not symbolic but backed by structure, funding and grassroots organization. He praised the coordinator of the Renewed Hope Ambassadors in the state, Desmond Akawo, for what he described as extensive mobilization across all 23 local government areas. The FCT minister urged the group to deepen its structure to ward and unit levels, saying the movement must remain visible, organized and battle-ready ahead of 2027. Wike also recalled the 2023 elections, noting that Rivers people made their political decision without pressure, adding that continued support for Tinubu remains non-negotiable if the president seeks re-election. Rivers State Police Command has confirmed the killing and beheading of the president of the Omoku Youth Federation, Ifeanyi Azwazu, and his aide, Chigozie Olu, in Omoku, Ogba, Egbema, Ndoni local government area. The police public relations officer, CSP Grace Irene Koko, said the Commissioner of Police, Olugbenga Adepoju, has ordered a full-scale investigation into the incident. She disclosed that preliminary findings indicate the killings were gang-related. Earlier, the public relations officer of the Ogba Egbema Ndoni Security and Planning Advisory Committee, OSPAC, God knows Nkem, confirmed that the lifeless body of Ifeanyi Azwazu was recovered from a forest in the area. Security agencies have assured residents that efforts are ongoing to track down those responsible for the attack. Troops of the Nigerian Army's 4 Brigade in Benin City, have arrested no fewer than 8 suspected kidnappers and drug peddlers in Edo State. The suspects were apprehended during a joint operation with the police, NSCDC and other security agencies under Operation Igbo Danu 1, carried out in Osara Auchi and Okpela communities in Edo North. Army authorities say weapons, drugs, and other criminal items were recovered during the operation. Meanwhile, the commander of 4 Brigade, Brigadier General Ahmed Balogu, who led the operation, commended the swift response and collaboration among the security agencies. Balogu, however, warned that Edo State would be untenable for terrorists, kidnappers, and other criminal elements to carry out their nefarious activities. The suspects have been handed over to the Edo State Police Command for further investigation, as the Army warns that Edo State will remain hostile to criminal elements. Operatives of the Ondo State Police Command have arrested a 40-year-old woman, Nasifat Latif, for allegedly poisoning a 3-year-old boy, Abdul Rashid, in Odigbo local government area of the state. According to the police public relations officer, DSP Abayomi Jimo, the suspect is the landlady of the child's mother and allegedly forced a liquid substance suspected to be poisonous into the toddler's mouth following a dispute. Jimo said the incident occurred on February 5, 2026 at Omifon community after a misunderstanding between the suspect and the victim's mother, Rufiat. The police spokesperson disclosed that detectives from the Odigbo Police Division acted swiftly after the child's mother reported the matter, leading to the arrest of the suspect and the recovery of the liquid substance. The 3-year-old victim was rushed to a hospital where he is currently receiving treatment after vomiting continuously. DSP Jimo added that the suspect is in custody and making useful confessional statements, noting that the case will be charged to court upon completion of investigations. Ogun State government has reaffirmed its commitment to working with the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons and development partners to curb human trafficking in the state. The pledge was made during the inauguration of the Anti-Trafficking and Violence Against Persons Vanguard Club at Muslim Secondary School, Isolu Camp, Abeokuta. The program, implemented by NAPTIP in collaboration with the International Center for Migration, Policy Development, and funded by the Netherlands government, aims to sensitize students on the dangers of human trafficking. No fewer than 30 students were inaugurated as club members and charged to lead advocacy against trafficking among their peers and communities. State officials say Ogun's proximity to border areas makes the fight against human trafficking urgent, while NAPTIP urged parents, schools, and community leaders to join efforts to protect young people from exploitation. Government suspected to be headers have killed at least 13 people in a fresh attack on Anwase Market in Mbaiko, Kwande local government area of Benue State. The attackers reportedly stormed the market from a nearby mountain, firing sporadically to create panic before abducting several market women and setting shops and stores ablaze. Confirming the incident, an aide to the Kwande local government chairman, E.B. Andrew, told newsmen that 13 people were killed in the attack. He said the council chairman, Vitalis Neji, in collaboration with security agencies, has mobilized to the area to restore calm and prevent further violence. Eyewitnesses said traders and buyers fled in different directions as the gunmen opened fire and later escaped with abducted women toward the mountainous area. The Benue State Police Command is yet to officially confirm the attack, as efforts to reach the police spokesperson were unsuccessful. The latest assault comes barely 2 days after a similar attack on Abande community in the same local government area, where at least 16 people were killed during a market day invasion by suspected armed herdsmen. Residents say the repeated attacks have forced many people to flee their homes, heightening fears and deepening concerns over worsening insecurity in Kwande and surrounding communities. Kano State government has launched a smart transport solution aimed at improving road safety, strengthening security, and monitoring public transportation across the state. The initiative, a partnership between the Ministry of Transport and the private firm AS&J Company, was unveiled on Saturday in Kano. Commissioner for Transport Haruna Dederi said the technology will enable real-time tracking of commercial vehicles, including tricycles, taxis, buses, trailers, and tankers, to enhance surveillance and rapid response to security incidents. He explained that the system will allow relevant authorities, including the police, the Ministry of Transport, and the State Cabinet Office, to monitor vehicle movement through a central digital dashboard. The Dederi described the project as a major step toward modernizing Kano's transport sector, noting that similar systems are already in use in major cities globally. He added that while the initial phase targets commercial vehicles, the system will eventually be expanded to cover private vehicles. Also speaking, the head of operations at AS&J Company, Dr. Aminu Maiga, said the application is free to download, with registration and identity verification costing 28,000 naira, supported by government subsidy. The rollout will begin in phases starting Monday, alongside awareness programs for transport unions and local government operators. The state government says the initiative aligns with its broader strategy to deploy technology-driven solutions to address security and transportation challenges. Plateau state authorities have confirmed a Lassa fever outbreak in 7 local government areas with 11 confirmed cases and 4 deaths recorded since December 2025. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Nicholas Bamlong, disclosed this at a press briefing in Jos, saying the outbreak was first reported on December 20th from Kwampan local government area. He said investigations and contact tracing led to the confirmation of 11 cases so far, with 109 contacts currently under close monitoring. According to Bamlong, 4 deaths have been recorded at the Jos University Teaching Hospital, Plateau Specialist Hospital and Bingham University Teaching Hospital, including the death of a medical doctor who contracted the virus while treating an infected patient. The affected local government areas include Kwampan, Shendam, Wase, Langtang South, Jos South, and Mangu. The Commissioner said surveillance has been intensified, rapid response teams deployed, and public health awareness campaigns commenced to curb further spread. He added that treatment, drugs and protective equipment are available in major health facilities and urged residents to seek immediate medical attention if they experience symptoms, stressing that controlling the outbreak requires collective responsibility. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesom Wike, has expressed visible displeasure at the sight of refuse heaps in Orozo along the Nyanyang-Kashi Road, which he observed during the tour and issued a stern warning to the coordinator of the Satellite Towns Development Department to ensure that the refuse are evacuated with immediate effect. Wike made the remarks in Abuja on Friday, February 6, 2026, while briefing journalists after an extensive tour of ongoing rural infrastructure projects with Karu, Kashi, Buari, and Kubwa satellite towns. He emphasized clear that the level of filth along the roads was unacceptable as the areas have transitioned from villages to developed urban towns. He issued a deadline of next Monday for the refuse to be cleared. The minister reiterated that the provision of road infrastructure across the FCT satellite towns is to ensure that the positive impact of the Renewed Hope agenda is felt in rural communities. Wike also noted that the ongoing expansion of rural road infrastructure was in line with the President's directive to ensure that the benefits of the Renewed Hope agenda were felt beyond the city center, reaching residents of satellite communities. Ahead of the February 21 area council elections in the Federal Capital Territory, the Independent National Electoral Commission has conducted a mock accreditation exercise across selected polling units. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amopitan, who led a monitoring team, described the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, BVAS, as a game changer for electoral integrity. He said the exercise was carried out to test the Commission's preparedness and ensure the BVAS functions effectively before the main election. According to him, accreditation took less than 5 seconds per vote, while the system successfully blocked attempts to double accreditation. Professor Amupitan added that non-sensitive materials have been deployed and that measures are in place to address network challenges, including the use of personal hotspots, while expressing satisfaction with the technology. The INEC chairman urged political parties to improve voter mobilization, noting low turnout during the mock exercise. He assured residents that INEC is ready to deliver a credible and hitch-free election on February 21. Security operatives have safely neutralized an improvised explosive device planted by suspected terrorists along the Danjiba Konsin Kalgo Road in Safe local government area of Zamfara State. The operation was carried out by a joint team of the Police Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit, Anti-Kidnapping Unit, and the military, following intelligence reports. Police spokesperson Yazid Abubakar said the pressure plate IED was professionally rendered safe with explosive components recovered for forensic analysis. He added that the area has been declared safe for commuters, urging residents to remain vigilant and report suspicious activities to security agencies. Vice President Kashim Shettima has conveyed the condolences of President Bola Tinubu to the government and people of Kwara State over the recent killings in Woro and Nuku communities of Kayama local government area. Speaking during a condolence visit on Saturday, Shettima described the attack as tragic and shocking, noting that the victims were peaceful residents engaged in legitimate livelihoods. He said the federal government has deployed a battalion of the Nigerian Army to the affected area to restore peace and security. The Vice President also disclosed that President Tinubu has directed the National Emergency Management Agency in collaboration with the Kwara State Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials and humanitarian support to victims. Responding, Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak thanked the President and Vice President, describing the federal government's response as swift and reassuring. African Democratic Congress has criticized the federal government following the killing of about 170 people in Kayama local government area of the Kwara State. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the party described the attack as clear evidence of worsening insecurity under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. The ADC questioned the effectiveness of the federal government security strategies, including the declaration of a state of emergency on security in November 2025 and the planned recruitment of thousands of police officers, according to the party. The continued occurrence of large-scale attacks shows that current security interventions have either failed or are yet to be properly implemented. The ADC condemned the killings and called for urgent decisive action to prevent further loss of lives across the country. African Alliance Party has threatened to take the Independent National Electoral Commission to court over what it described as an unlawful refusal to register the party, despite allegedly meeting all constitutional and statutory requirements. AAP is among several political associations seeking registration ahead of the 2027 general elections, as agitation grows for alternative platforms beyond Nigeria's dominant parties. INEC had on Thursday approved the registration of 2 new political parties after what it termed a rigorous screening process. The Commission's chairman, Professor Joash Amupitan, SAN, announced the decision in Abuja during INEC's first consultative meeting with political parties in 2026. According to INEC, out of 171 political associations that applied, only Democratic Leadership Alliance met all statutory requirements, while the Nigeria Democratic Congress was registered based on a federal high court order. Reacting in a statement titled "Register AAP Now or Face Legal Action," the party accused INEC of double standards and undermining democratic principles. The statement, signed by AAP National Publicity Secretary Abubakar Sadiq, said the party complied fully with the 1999 Constitution, the Electoral Act, and INEC's 2022 guidelines, but was still excluded. AAP argued that court orders relied upon by INEC must be based on credible participation in the registration process, insisting it would challenge what it called bias, abuse of legal process, and policy inconsistency. The party vowed to pursue legal redress while urging its members to remain committed to grassroots mobilization ahead of the 2027 elections. We'll go on a short break now, and when we return, we will continue with the rest of the stories. Please stay with us. Questioned raising costs, 377 million for staff welfare, 470 million for overseas trips and workshops, 111.8 million naira for executive retreats, and 1.78 billion in salaries, which according to the lawmaker is bloated recurrent drains. The committee also hammered embed for skipping December 2025 revenue reports and breaching a presidential order on foreign travel, insisting on hard evidence of clearances. Akinowo, in his defense, said every foreign outing from World Bank forums essential to power talks with TCN and generators got approval from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation or Head of Service. He said the NBET operations are largely funded through revenue approval by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, while capital projects rely on appropriations, noting that 60 million naira release for power reforms could not be utilized due to late disbursements. The committee suspended consideration of NIBET's 2026 budget, saying that the agency's explanation is inadequate, requesting a comprehensive 2025 reports on expenditure. The committee is reconvening on February 10, 2026, with the Accountant General expected to be in attendance. The committee also swung spotlight on the Federal Ministry of Finance 14.3 billion naira proposal in the 2026 budget, with the Finance Minister, Mr. Wale Edu, attributing apparent capital expenditure discrepancies to debt services classifications.
We're talking about revenue. We want to know the sources, what made up that revenue, and what, as against what target. Because we cannot even see your revenue budget here. You have it, DFA. You have your revenue budget, budget head by budget head. You have it. So you are not prepared. You are not prepared to submit all other relevant documents tomorrow. Okay? We'll take that.
So from the look of things, you spent Saka 470 million naira for travels, international travels, even when there was a technical suspension or ban on international travels. Out of 479 million naira, you spent 470 million for international travels. Why I'm worried about this expenditure is that you neglected the comfort of your residential building as against your international travel. Why did you prioritize to travel abroad? Does your job really require you traveling abroad to the extent that you spend 470 million naira traveling when you have a burden of maintenance of your facilities? For 129 million, you spent only 7 million naira for maintenance.
Federal government has approved the reopening of the Samiya land border in Kebbi State for trans-border trade with strict security and compliance guidelines. The Comptroller General of Customs, Adewale Adeniyi, announced the approval on Saturday during an interactive session with exporters, transporters and traders in Kebbi State. Adeniyi said the decision followed strong political will from President Bola Tinubu and cooperation with neighboring countries, adding that security protocols would be enforced to prevent criminal activities along the corridor. He warned that any diversion of goods outside approved transit routes would attract seizures and prosecution, stressing that trade facilitation must not compromise national security. Kebbi State Governor Nasser Idris welcomes the reopening, assuring of collaboration with customs and other security agencies to ensure smooth operations. Stakeholders, including onion farmers and traders, describe the move as a major boost for non-oil exports, regional trade and economic growth. Federal government has issued stern warnings and deadlines to China Harbour Engineering Company and its affiliate, China Harbour Operation and Maintenance Company, over alleged substandard work, slow mobilization and environmental hazards on key federal roads projects. The warnings follow the high-level meeting in Abuja, chaired by the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, after complaints from communities and concerns over failing sections of major highways, including the Mararaba, Kefi Akwanga, Lafia Makodi dual carriage way, the Makodi 9th Mile Enugu Road, and the 7th Axial Road in Lagos. Umahi ordered immediate dust control measures on the Makurdi-Enugu corridor, warning that failure to comply within 7 days could lead to project suspension. He also directed the reconstruction of failed road sections, improved safety installations, and full mobilization of stalled projects. The minister warned that the government would no longer tolerate delays or poor execution, stressing that contractors who fail to meet agreed standards risk sanctions, recovery of funds, or contract termination. Electricity distribution companies have attributed the persistent power outages being experienced across the country to a sharp decline in gas supply to power generation plants. The companies said the drop in gas supply has led to reduced electricity generation on the national grid, resulting in lower power allocation to distribution networks nationwide. Recent checks show the national power generation has fallen from over 5,000 megawatts last year to between 3,000 and 4,000 megawatts, with total allocation to DISCOs dropping to just over 3,100 megawatts as of Friday. In a notice to customers, the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company said the limited energy supply from the national grid had significantly reduced electricity availability within its franchise areas, causing widespread outages. Similarly, Eco Electricity Distribution Company blamed intermittent power supply in its coverage area on gas supply, constraints affecting national generation. The company said the shortfall has forced load shedding across its network, while efforts are ongoing to address the situation. The DISCOs apologized to customers for the inconvenience and urged patience, noting that electricity supply will remain unstable until gas supply to power plants improves. The development again highlights the vulnerability of Nigeria's power sector to gas supply disruptions, with generation shortfalls quickly translating into outages for consumers. You're still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network, and up next is International Tidbits. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order threatening new tariffs on countries that continue trading with Iran, even as he pledged another round of talks with Tehran next week. The order, which takes effect from Saturday, establishes a process for imposing tariffs on goods imported into the United States from countries that directly or indirectly purchase goods or services from Iran. Under the directive, tariff rates will be determined by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, with the order indicating they could reach 25%, a figure earlier mentioned by Trump. The move comes amid rising tensions between Washington and Tehran, with the U.S. naval carrier group operating in the Middle East, and indirect talks on Iran's nuclear program held in Oman. The tariffs could affect trade with several countries, including China, Russia, Germany, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates. China remains Iran's largest trading partner. Trump said talks held in Muscat were positive and confirmed that further discussions with Iran are scheduled for early next week. Former United States President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have called for their congressional testimony over ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to be held publicly, warning against what they describe as political exploitation of the probe. The couple has been summoned for closed-door depositions by the House Oversight Committee, which is investigating Epstein's links to powerful figures and how information about his crimes was handled. According to the committee, Hillary Clinton is scheduled to testify on February 26, while Bill Clinton will appear on February 27. Democrats argue the investigation is being weaponized to target political opponents of President Donald Trump, who was also associated with Epstein but has not been called to testify. Bill Clinton criticized the plan for closed-door testimony, describing it as a kangaroo court, and urged lawmakers to conduct the hearing openly. Hillary Clinton said the couple has already shared what they know and challenged lawmakers to hold the proceedings in public. Epstein died in custody in 2019 in what was ruled a suicide. While Bill Clinton appears in released Epstein-related documents, no evidence has linked either Clinton to criminal activity. And here now is our sports news. Manchester United continued their perfect start under Michael Carrick with a 2-0 Premier League victory over Tottenham Hotspur at Old Trafford on Saturday. United took control of the match after Spurs captain Christian Romero was sent off in the 29th minute for a reckless challenge on Casemiro. The red card proved decisive as the hosts made their numerical advantage count. Brian Mbeumo opened the scoring with a well-placed strike from the edge of the box following a cleverly worked corner, marking his third goal in 4 matches under Carrick. United dominated possession and created several chances with efforts from Amad Diallo and Matheus Cunha ruled out for offside. Bruno Fernandes sealed the win late on, tapping in Diogo Dalot's cross at the back post for his 20th goal or assist in a Manchester United shirt. The victory ended United's 8-game winless run against Spurs and extended Carrick's unbeaten start to 4 matches, keeping the Red Devils firmly in the Premier League's top 4. Tottenham, meanwhile, remained 14th on the table, with Romero set to miss 4 games through suspension following his second red card of the season. Nigerian striker Taiwo Awoniyi has won Nottingham's Forest Goal of the Month award for January and only claimed the award for his fine strike in Forest's 2-0 victory over Brentford late in the month. The forward collected the pass from Morgan Gibbs-White, drove into the penalty area and fired past goalkeeper Kalmin Keleha. It was Awoniyi's first goal of the season for the Tricky Trees and was selected from 7 nominated goals. The 28-year-old has made just a handful of league appearances for Nottingham Forest this season. And now to our entertainment news. Veteran actress Omotola Jolade Ekinde has revealed details of the ban placed on her and several top actors by movie marketers in 2005, describing it as a defining moment in her career. Speaking in an interview, Omotola said the restriction affected 8 leading actors at the time, including Genevieve Nnaji, Ramsey Noah, Jim Iyke, Stella Damasus, Richard Mofe-Damijo, and Nkem Owo, limiting their access to film projects. She explained that the marketers accused the actors of being a negative influence on the industry, but insisted the real issue was their push for higher standards, professionalism, and improved quality of Nollywood productions. While some of the affected actors were reinstated after about a year, Omotola said her ban lasted longer because she declined to attend a reconciliation meeting organized by the marketers. Despite the setback, she said the experience pushed her to explore other opportunities, including music and business ventures, noting that the ban did not halt her overall career growth. Actress and filmmaker Fatia Balogun has criticized the blogger for spreading false claims about an alleged rift between her and fellow actress Funke Akindele. The controversy followed Fatia's birthday celebration on February 5, which Funke sent her a goodwill message. Fatia replied with the Yoruba phrase, Oshe Iya Ebeji, a respectful expression of gratitude. A blogger later insinuated that the exchange appeared awkward, sparking speculation of tension between the 2 Nollywood stars. Reacting during a live video session, Fatia dismissed the claims, insisting there is no bad blood between her and Funke. She accused bloggers of twisting innocent interactions to create unnecessary drama and false narratives online. Fatia stressed that Funke's message was genuine and her response had been misinterpreted, warning bloggers to stop interfering in her personal and professional relationships. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Wiki Commission's campaign radio targets Tinubu victory. Kano launches smart transport system to boost security. Tinubu commiserates with Kwara over killings. Discourse blame widespread power outages on gas shortage. Clintons seek public testimony in investigation. Manchester United beats Tottenham Hotspur 2-0. Omotola reflects on Nollywood blacklisting by marketers. I am Francis Neka. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, now X at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram at Atlantic TV Net. Remember, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching.